Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee, for inviting us to speak about the disability tax credit changes in Bill C-30. We appreciate the opportunity to address this really important issue. Madam Chair, just so that you know, both my colleague and I will be sharing the 5 minutes. We understood that we had 5 minutes as an organization. My name is Jeff Willbond, and I am the Chief Accessibility Officer at the March of Dimes Canada, the country's largest disability service provider. For more than 70 years, we have supported people with disabilities to live independently in their communities. Each year, we work with over 30,000 people with disabilities, along with family, caregivers, community partners, advocates, and governments. Financial security remains one of the most pressing issues facing with people with disabilities in Canada. The disability tax credit is a critical gateway to federal benefits and tax credits that can materially improve dignity, autonomy, and independence, even if people, that is, can access it. I first began benefiting personally from the disability tax credit more than 30 years ago, and since then I've worked hard to ensure others in our community know about it and can receive it as well. I want to state clearly, the reforms to the disability tax credit in this spring economic update are a step in the right direction. We welcome them, and we want to work with government to go further. The disability tax credit was originally designed to recognize the higher cost of living with disability, but for too long, it has been more of a burden than a benefit for many of the people it's really meant to serve. The Canada Revenue Agency reports that over 96% of completed disability tax credit applications are approved, yet only 25% of people with disabilities have ever applied. That gap is not eligibility, it is about access. People don't apply because they don't know that the disability tax credit exists, because the forms are complex, because eligibility criteria is not clear, because accessing a primary care practitioner is difficult, and because uninsured fees of $150 to $400 to complete a form application create a barrier with no guarantee for approval. This result is over $2 billion in unclaimed disability tax credit benefits every year, and billions more in the downstream benefits like the RDSP and Canada Disability Benefit that require disability tax credit eligibility. The reforms announced, particularly expanding the list of conditions requiring only confirmation of diagnosis, represent meaningful progress. For someone with Down syndrome or cerebral palsy like myself, being able to confirm a diagnosis once and receive the disability tax credit for life is a profound change. It reduces cost, it reduces burden, and treats people with dignity. These are good first steps, and first steps really matter. Back to you, Madam Chair.
You're continuing on, I understand? You have about just under 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Amanda MacKenzie. I work with Jeff at March of Dimes Canada, and I want to talk about how this issue is personal for me. I am both a parent and a sibling of people with disabilities and have actually applied for the disability tax credit twice. I was really lucky. Our family doctor understood my brother and my son, and I know the system and how it works. So I know that the changes in the spring economic update will have a very positive impact. I also know how much work the Canada Revenue Agency has done to make the DTC applications easier. And I want to thank and recognize the entire DTC team at the CRA for their hard work and partnership in working towards the reforms that we see. At the same time, though, there's a lot of ground to make up, and we're calling on government to go further in 3 areas. So firstly, we need to reimburse practitioners directly for completing DTC applications. Partial reimbursement after the fact does not help someone who cannot afford to pay the fees up front. Second, aligning the DTC's definition of disability with the Accessible Canada Act. The ACA definition is the federal government's definition of disability, and so wherever there's a definition of disability in federal legislation or policy, simply put, it should apply. Further to that, changing the ACA definition, as my colleagues have discussed, will facilitate future reform and provincial territorial alignment. And last, Canada needs a federal disability status that lives in our social system, not in the tax system. People who really need the DTC, like the people that we serve every day, say that the DTC unlocks don't access it because they say they don't make enough money to require a tax credit. So the tax system is the wrong home for disability status in Canada. We need a single portable status that a person establishes by telling their story once, and that unlocks access to all applicable federal benefits and more. Our friends in the European Union and Japan can show us the way. Our disability community in Canada has been clear and united on this issue. The National Disability Network has put forward concrete recommendations that reflect the priorities of people with disabilities across the country. We're committed to working all together to get this right. Thank you. We look forward to questions.